ago, we were on a walk. Everything was nice, it was casual. We were walking on a sidewalk and there was a dog in his yard gated.
Sure. I want you to look at Gilmore here. You see him shaking?
Yeah.
And you see his tail tucked in here?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't feel bad for him.
Okay.
That's just like a wild.
Okay.
Reactivity doesn't always see aggression.
Okay.
In response to a stressor.
Okay.
In some cases, yeah, the dog is like the animal. A lot of times it's a kind of that dog, but frustration keeps in, and then that becomes agitation. In other cases, it's I'm not sure what to do, and I'd rather kill than be killed type of mentality. Okay. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It just comes down to don't do that. Okay. So the last time when we met, I just kind of jumped in the picture of like, this is what I do. But there's a lot more to it, and that's what we're going to learn today. Okay. Have you tried to do a formal heel with Gilmore?
Now, the old, I'm sorry, we did try, Maddie tried it.
Sure.
Up in Michigan. And he understood, like, that's why he's doing this. Like, he understands, like, being next to the person, but he doesn't know the right.
Okay. I train dogs on the left. Do you have a preference?
I usually walk him on the right.
Okay.
If it doesn't.
Are you right-handed?
Yeah.
If you're right-handed, it's easier to push on the left.
Okay.
Otherwise, it doesn't really matter as long as when we pick a side, you're consistent about it. Okay. Because if you switch in one day left, one day right, that's where there's going to be issues because it's like, well, what side am I supposed to go to?
Got it.
Okay. So this exercise is very simple. Do you happen to have his working number already?
12.
12? Okay. Go ahead and so we're going to look at Gilmore here. And go ahead and just give him a tap. 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 Right. So I can see he feels it. Let's go to 16. Tap. 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 20. Tap. 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 26. Tap. 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 32. Tap. Tap. There it is. So you felt that, okay? You're at 32? 33. Let's go to 38. So when we look for a number, did you get a chance to see those videos?
I did. The last one, which was finding the number,
Yeah.
I was watching that in the car.
Gotcha.
As we were, yeah.
So that's the important one because that's the one that's going to override the environment. Okay, so like right now, another potential for the shaking and stuff is there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So it might be a bit much for him.
Okay.
No big deal.
Okay.
The way to get him over stuff like this, if this is an issue, it's just exposure.
Okay.
And then, but exposure where he's calm in this environment, and not like when we saw him at the pack walk and he was just on edge. That would be unhealthy. Okay. So we want a number that's going to be concerning to him, because you want him to start thinking right away, like, I need to figure out how to shut this off because I don't like it. Okay. It may change depending on the environment. You know, in your neighborhood, it could be 12.
Yeah.
But he's used to it. He's comfortable. Maybe it's quiet. Whereas here, there's a lot more going on. It's 38. You know, if you go up to where was it with Maddie? Michigan, right?
We were in like the 60s.
Were you?
Yeah.
Sure. So there's a lot more, you know, prey. How would you say, squirrels, raccoons, whatever. That's potentially why, or just because he hadn't been. What's the word? He hadn't had the correct thought process of what this sensation is.
Got it.
As he gets exposed to it more and starts to learn, like, oh, this is actually a line of communication and not just this thing that happens, he starts to, quote unquote, understand it a bit better. Okay? So then your number may go lower, it may stay the same, or it might go higher. There's no real answer, it's just what's going to work in that particular moment. Okay? So the exercise we're going to do today is fairly simple. Since we're going to have him on the left side, what you're going to do is when you walk with Gilmore, if he goes to pull to your right, kind of like at the pack walk, you're going to pull to your left and remote until he pops over to your left side. Okay. As soon as he does so, you're going to relax and you're just going to walk. Okay? Yeah, you always keep moving. You always keep moving. This is all fine. Ears perking up, but he's for the most part relaxed. So, you always keep moving. Now, the important thing is when you start walking, when Gilmore gets ahead of you, you're going to 180 to your right and go back the opposite way. Correct, right?
My full hand. So if I want him on the left hand side, my figure, I want it.
Everybody has their own setup. How you have it is fine. What we want is slack. Okay? So we'll start off with what you have there. So you're walking with Gilmore, okay? He's going to get ahead of you. And you're going to start remoting as 180 to your right. Okay? Right, but if you try to do anything right now, you're not going to get it. So we'll get set up first. Okay? And I'll tell you when to tap. So when you hear me say tap, that means press the button, the bumpy one. Yeah. So if I say tap, 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 that would be your rhythm. If you say tap, 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 that would be your rhythm. Okay? And I'll direct you on everything, but I just want you to think when you hear me say turn, it means 180 to your immediate right. Okay, so now you're going the opposite way. So since Gilmore is now on your right side, go into your turn backwards. Like that. Good. Now just move forward. Tap. Turn to your right. Forward. Turn. Up, forward. Tap. Tap. Forward. Forward. Tap. Try coming this way. There you go. Good. Now hold for a second. Good. Relax. Good. Good. Yeah. Careful. You're at 38 now?
Yes.
Let's go down to 22. Because it looks like we got really good connection now. And that's the one thing, and you'll get used to this, is that when you get good connection, you're going to see a bigger response. So then you adjust it, right? Because earlier, 33 didn't really get that much of a response. And right now, he's like running, right? Okay. So I like the running because it means urgency, but I don't want him overcompensating and jumping on you once he arrives. Okay, so we're trying to get a balance of get over here, but at the same time, don't jump, okay? Now, very important, as best you can, keep your movement. So even if you see him about to jump, just keep moving, okay? Because when you stop, you allow him to get more into that behavior, it's going to be hard to control, okay? So relax, and give a little bit more slack, like that, that's good, and then forward, relax. Yeah, forward, good. Let's go down even lower. Let's go down to 12. Tap. I'm going to have you move this way. Tap forward. Good. Relax. Good. Hold for a second. When a step back, you go over the leash. There you go. And then just walk forward. Relax. Good. Turn to your right. Tap. Speed forward. Turn to your right. Tap. Forward. Keep forward. Keep forward. To your right. Tap. Tap. Forward. Good. Keep forward. You're good. There you go. Good. Forward. 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 Good. You got it. Relax. Keep forward. Keep forward. Turn to your right. Tap. Forward. Keep forward. Keep forward. Relax. There you go. Keep walking. Keep walking. You got it. Well, not anymore. Like last year, I talked about 3 times a year. Relax. Good. Relax. Your arm, left arm. There you go. There you go. Like that. Good. Keep moving forward. Now slow. Turn. Good. Tap. Forward. Good. Relax. Good. Keep moving forward. Got a runner behind you, by the way. Good, forward. Good, slow. Turn. Slow, forward. Doing it more so because of the muscle. Got it. Slow to a stop. Good. Okay, so you see tugging, right? Right now it's a problem because it's like annoying, and then especially when you have equipment on, like the dog will start bumping into you. We'll we'll fix all that. Okay. But what I'm looking for is this. So you see how he's crossing over your body?
Yeah.
Do you know why that is?
I'm guessing he's picking up on my own stress in some way.
No, that's not it, but I can see it.
Okay.
Okay, what's another guess?
He's used to being on this side.
One more. What direction are you looking? So that's why he's doing this. Because if you start to turn, he's going to know right away. Okay? So it's a problem in the sense that he's all over your way. It's a good problem means he's starting to associate, oh, I want to be here, and I also want to watch what mom's doing, but this is the direction that she's moving. Okay? So most people, when they try to teach the heel, restrain the dog, or when they pull ahead, they'll remote them and go no to tell them like it's bad to pull, right? And they'll remote them, and when the dog is here, they'll say heel, and that method sucks. Okay, it doesn't work. I mean, because the dogs don't know that pulling is bad. Okay, he has 4 legs, we have 2, and have a faster cadence. So what I do instead is I go, all right, but you want to go ahead of me? That's fine. But I have this thing that's going to annoy you. And as I'm annoying him, and I go the opposite way, for Gilmore, he feels it. He's like, I don't like this. He turns around and goes like, I'm going that way. He passes up and then disappears. But then he passes. What happens? Turns around, oh crap, mom's going the other way. Catches up and goes away. So he's starting to understand, like, every time this goes off, mom's going away from me.
Okay.
So he's starting to see more so as something that's communicating to him. And in the beginning, because when he was stationary, the 33 to 38 wasn't getting us a huge response, but as soon as he started moving, I could see he was running, but then overcompensating. So that told me like, okay, we're too low, we dipped it down to 20 something. Still too high, we dropped it down to 12, and it's still a smidgen too high, but I'm getting a balance of him coming in close quickly, but not the jumping part, okay? So he's constantly in communication with us, telling us what's too much and what's too little for them.
So the jump means
In some cases, yes, right? It can be frustration. In this case, because I saw as soon as he gave one tap to 38, he just shot over, and I was like, oh, and jumped up. I was like, too much hot, okay? And as you do this more with him, you'll learn to read him better, and you'll start to like associate the number, you know, and just kind of get a feel for what's too much and what's too little, and what his signals are. That's really just practice. Okay. One thing is never feel bad if you are too high, simply adjust. If you're worried about always trying to have the perfect number and not making them feel uncomfortable or overhitting, you're gonna have a really hard time progressing. Okay, because you're gonna be too stuck on your head. Like you're like, I want it to be perfect, but it's never gonna be perfect. Okay, you get better as you go along, and then as you progress, you'll be much more. Okay. So, questions so far about what we're doing?
no, we're just trying to get him to follow basically the pattern.
Correct. Right now, there's a formal word to this, which is heal, but we're not worried about that right now. What we're worried about is teaching Gilmore that there's someone at the other end of the leash that he needs to pay attention to. Okay, so that's the reason for the slack. But without that slack, he wouldn't have. If you had it too short, as soon as you turn, he'd already be turning with you because the leash would be green. And I'm wanting that gap. So when I remote him, he has to move to your leg and close that gap. Okay, so that's part of it. And the other part of it, of course, is being relaxed as we do so. And I understand, you know, just the stress of having a reactive dog, but then also the expectation of it's going to be reactive and already be kind of like up here, right?
Right.
So we have to unlearn those behaviors. It's super common. Everybody does it. But you want to think that if you're trying to influence Gilmore, you have to project what you want to. Right? So if I'm tense, even if he's beside you and trained and stuff, but he looks at you and like, your mom's tense, this like looks like you're worried about something, which is gonna put him on guard. Like, what is mom worried about? Is it the bike? Is it the person? Is it the dog walking by? So he's gonna think, I need to step in because mom's like this and she doesn't know what to do. Okay? So when you're just down, arms down and relaxed, and you're just moving, even if there is a moment and he looks at you and you're just passive and just calm, he goes, oh, all right, well, mom's not worried. Then I shouldn't be worried. Okay, so that's the other part of it. The third part would be, if you're unintentionally up here, at some point you might fall in the habit where you're rolling up the leash. Next thing you know, it's tight again. And the tension communicates I would just say that you're worried, but then also agitate him. Okay, when you put tension on a dog, you create frustration and agitation, which can potentially turn into reactivity. Eyes up here darting all over the place. Okay, so fine. Questions?
No, doesn't make sense.
So I'm gonna have you do the same thing again. Okay, you're gonna just go back and forth. You're a little awkward right now because you're learning. And it's really just going back and forth. Okay. Before I had you turn, did you notice what I was having you do?
Just telling me to keep walking.
I was trying to keep walking, but then when I was getting you ready for the turn, to come back the opposite way, I was having you do something. Slow it down.
Okay.
I'll say slow,
Yeah.
right? But you keep your movement, and then I would say slow turn, right? The reason for that is he was already walking well with you. That to turn abruptly would be unfair. So what we're trying to teach Gilmore is to walk with you, much like you walk with a friend, right? Just side by side, shoulder to shoulder. So we got that. So it would have been unfair if I would have just said turn, because he was here. When he's ahead of you, yes, you would turn because you're corrected. So the slow was to get his attention, and he slowed down with you, so that was good. And then the slow turn was so that he was able to turn and then walk. Okay. So right now, when you walk with him, I'm gonna have you go back and forth between that pole and like that pole. And when you're getting ready to turn, I want you to just think slow, then slow turn. Once you've completed it, you can pick up the pace. If Gilmore, if you're turning and you did everything you're supposed to, but he keeps going, you would then tap and start moving because you lost him. Okay, and I'll coach you through it first. So, whenever you're ready, relax your arm. Good turn. Yep, good. That was correct. Keep forward, keep forward, keep forward, keep forward, keep forward, keep forward. You got it. Keep forward. Nice. You got it. One more pass. Relax. That is good. Yep, good. You got it. Straight. Walk slowly. Walk slower. Slower. Stop. Good. So all that was good. On the first run, when you're about to turn, I don't know if you saw it, he did get ahead of you a tiny bit, right? But you had just slowed down, so he was about to get ahead, but then kind of bucked back. That was fine, right? Now, if you ever see that in the future when you're working with him, ideally you want to catch that. Okay. So let's say you're intending to like come to a stop at a stoplight. A super common thing that people do is since they're coming to that stop, when they slow down, if the dog forces a bit, they kind of excuse it, just pull it back because they're like, oh, like I was going to stop it. It doesn't matter. But training wise, it's a bad habit because every time you come to the stop, then you know the dog's going to start going ahead of you. So what you would do is turn, correct them, turn again, and then try to come to that stop together. You're trying to make him match your movements as if you're your shadow. Okay? The tighter you are with that obedience and just that control, behaviorally, the better he should be. Okay? People tend to give dogs the opportunity to do the right thing, be a good dog, and they go, no, use every opportunity to make the dog do the right thing. Okay, so there's a difference there. So, questions so far? A little nervous now, actually. Have you seen him shake like this before? Yeah. Yeah. What's the context?
It's whenever we're in an unfamiliar situation.
Sure.
Or this collar.
This collar? Okay. So more exposure. When you use this collar, has it been only when it's like when you need to stop the behavior, or have you been using it to teach it?
It's more so we go on like 3 walks a day.
Okay.
And usually the longer walk, like the last 2 weeks, I've been putting it on him for the longer walk.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get him, honestly, not too responsible.
Okay, to stop things. Sure. So right now, he perceives the collar more so as a punishment. Okay, which isn't not a bad thing. Don't worry about that. But ideally, again, we're trying to get him to view it as a communicator. And the more exposure he gets to it, the better you're going to see him start to relax. Okay? Because people tend to wait for my dog's blowing up, now I'll use it, right? Okay. So when I work with the client who's dealing with reactivity, for them, they feel validated to use it when the dog's being bad. That makes sense? Yeah. So like, I would now use this measure because your behavior warrants it. And I go, no, use it for everything else, right? Because if you only use it for a specific context, you'll never get over it. Yes, yes. So, and I'll give you the structure of things and all that stuff. So, the more you expose him to it, the faster he gets over it, right? So, like, I was raised old school, I was spanked, and it sucked being spanked, right? But then it became a part of life, and as long as I make the right decisions, I don't worry about being spanked, right? Same thing for Gilmore, right? So now he's being spanked. In the past few weeks, it's been just when he's been bad, so he doesn't have a relation to it other than that. Does that make sense? So as you start to fine-tune it, like right now we went from 38 to 12, and everything's being great on 12. He's starting to process, oh, this isn't always going to be 52. Yeah. You know, and then I actually have an influence on what this is. So if I refrain from doing certain behaviors, I don't have to worry about it. I don't even have to worry about the remote period. Okay? Then you start to see a more comfortable dog. Okay? So, and if you're walking him and he's wearing the collar more, and 99% of that walk is nothing with the collar, and there's 1%, because this is a second. It's a split second of sensation, right? So it's a very tiny fraction of the walk that the part where he's not being promoted starts to become more of the experience. Does that make sense? Yep. So it's like, if every time I go to a restaurant, my experience is really bad there, I'm not going to want to go there, right? But if I go there 100 times, and maybe 2 times it's been a bad experience, well, that's normal. Yeah. So that's easy for him. But if he's always relating, trying to promote things on it too, that's going to become a perception. Okay? So it's just something to balance things out. And you can even, like, let's say you're going to take him somewhere and he's going to be running around in the yard or something. You can have it on him, but you're not going to use it. Right now it's associating him in the yard and like a wall. And this thing is on. So he starts to like disassociate it with just only this thing. Exactly. Okay. Now when you do put it on him, if he's going to be wearing it longer than 2 minutes, 2 hours, you do want to shift it. Okay, because since he's got 2 prongs, it'll cause pressure sores. And it's not because of the stem, it's because there's 2 things poking into the neck for a long time. So if you don't rotate it, that can become a sore. So like people that are bedridden, they get bed sores, they have to rotate them. Same concept. Okay? Questions so far? So we're going to do a little bit more. Then we're going to start adding some things. We're going to change how you're holding that leash.
I am going to put the backpack down.
No, it's too late.
That was it.
You can set it by Enrique if you want, if you don't want to do that.
It's like a whole year's worth of. It's got the left side down already.
He's got the what? The left side?
Down.
Yeah.
Up.
Alright, so we're going to change how you're holding that leash for a couple of reasons. One, when we jumble the leash up like that, if the dog happens to lunge and it's wrapped tight and they put pressure, it'll break your fingers. Okay? So what you're going to do here is let's go ahead and just put him on your left side.
Hold, like actually hold this.
Put him on your left side. There we go. Good. And I'm going to show you a couple ways of holding this. Go ahead and let the leash go fully slack. And you're going to take the handle and you're gonna loop it around your thumb, like that. Now close your hand, okay? So what that does is it locks your leash. But you have a 6-foot leash, so you have a lot of excess, right? So what you could do is one, is take the excess and kind of wrap it around your pointer finger here, and then you're gonna close your hand around it, almost. Can I see your slip, Mary? Do you have your slip? Thank you. So, handle, right?
Okay.
This part, like this, and then you just go like this. Okay? So this here locks your leash. Okay, so even if there were to be a quick lunge, even with the thumb, he's not gonna pull the leash out of your thumb. Okay, when we hold like this happens. If we hold like this can happen. Okay? So when you lock it, I'm not worried about that, but if we have excess we need to get rid of, I do this so that it doesn't clutter your hand. Okay, so that's one way to hold it. The other way would be like this, and then with your right hand, you go like this. Sorry, the left hand. It would be like this, right? But you would still leave leash slack here. Okay? And if you wanted that extra security, you would just do this. Exactly. So now you have a double lock system here. Okay? So like when you see us working with dogs and all that stuff, you'll always see us do this hold because it's very secure. Okay? And like when we walk a bunch of dogs at once, like we won't do the thumb thing, but you'll see us wrap the leashes around their fingers because it locks all the dogs to us. So if 3 dogs lunge, it's not going to rip the leashes out of our hand. Okay? So everybody has their own kind of setup of what works best for them. And you can always shift between the two. But it allows you to get the slack without, so when you relax completely, you want to see where that little loop is, right? That little loop is above or near here. You want to see it around the armpit area. Okay, if it's lower than the armpit area
of the dog.
Oh, correct. He's going to step over it, and then he's going to get tangled up in that armpit. I mean, the armpit. He's going to get tangled up in the leash, right? So when you have it higher up here, above or equal to his armpit, he's not going to step over it. He's going to be fine. Okay. Questions about that?
Nope.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Whenever you're ready, we're going to do a quick little back and forth, and then move to the next thing.
Okay. Same thing. Slow down.
Correct. And relax. Good. Good turn. You had it. Try speeding up a bit. Watch for that little dog in the corner. Good. Yep, you got it. Forward. Good. Now, if he starts to cross over you here, see how he curved out with them? Forward. Okay, so if he ends up, you would just walk through them. You have to keep forward. There you go. Keep forward. Keep forward. Relax. Good. Go ahead and speed up. Now slow. Slower. Stop. Very good. Okay. So there should never be tension on the leash. Okay. If there is tension on the leash, what does that mean?
That's me.
It could be you, right? If it's not you, what does it mean?
And self-distress in some way.
Andy, this way.
Doing something that's not
He's
supposed
doing
to
something he's supposed not to do. Correct, right? So the leash is a line of communication. Tension isn't bad if you're using it to communicate. Okay? So like if he pulled over to your right side, you would pull to your left enough to guide him, but the remote would make him shift sides. Okay,
so anytime I am pulling, the remote should be activated as well.
Technically, yes, right? There might be some exceptions, but yes, right? So if he goes ahead of me and I go the opposite way, at some point we separate to where there's tension, right?
Yeah.
And the remote would kick in, and the tension would be directing him back this way.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
So if you're walking and you're completely relaxed, and all of a sudden I feel my hand going this way, that tells me Gilmore is doing something over here, something he shouldn't. I can keep moving, remote, until he moves in and then resolves the tension. Okay? So that's the importance of having the slack leash, but also having it short enough, like it's long enough for him to make mistakes so that you can correct and teach him what to do, but then not so long that he gets to be 6 feet away from you before it's like, oh crap, Gilmore's all the way over there, right? So it's the balance of all those things together. So before you stopped, I had you again slow down, and that allowed Gilmore to stop right next to you, okay? So your visual is his right shoulder next to your left leg, okay? So, yes. So if his right shoulder were to get an inch ahead of you, you would technically correct that, okay? People tend to use the word, relate a good heel with my dog doesn't pull that much, okay? Heel is not about how much is the dog not pulling or pulling, it's about the position, yes. Right shoulder to left leg, okay? His nose should fall no farther than where your foot is landing, right? So if you're walking with him and maybe something gets his attention and you see him forging and playing with 1 inch, whenever you can, you would just, as quickly as possible, turn, tap, come back the opposite way, and bring them in closer, right? The saying, if you give someone an inch to pick a mile, is absolutely true when it comes to this exercise, okay? So don't forgive it because it's just an inch, because eventually it becomes reactivity, okay? So the next thing that Gilmore is supposed to do is automatically sit when you come to a stop. Okay, so the way we're going to teach that is I'm going to have you, now we're going to need to incorporate your left hand. So actually what we'll do is go ahead and let that extra slack go, and then transfer your remote to your right hand, and then with your left hand you're going to take up the excess slack over here. Okay, and then I'm going to have you go ahead and grab a little bit closer to the collar. Yep. A little bit more. And I'm going to have you lightly pull up now. Do you see how you feel some pressure there on his neck? Pull up a little bit more. There you go. There. He did it. See how he put his butt down? Okay. So that's actually supposed to be paired with the remote. So you would lightly pull up and then tap to create this motion.
Okay.
But since you...
No verbal command at all.
Correct. Okay. So there would be a name for this, but right now I'm eliminating any words because I want to force you to have to do everything.
Got it.
From experience, I noticed that when I would incorporate the heel word right away in the first class, again, because people feel bad, they would refer to the word more than the remote. So I would come back and they're like, heel, 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 heel. I'm like, why are you saying heel? The dog's not even walking with you. They're like, oh, well, I thought the dog knew the word. But clearly they don't, right? Use the remote. So now, by removing the word, it forces you to have to use that remote to get the dog.
Got it.
Okay? So it would be just like you did, a very subtle pull up and then a tiny little tap to get him to put his butt down, okay? So you're gonna do the same back and forth motion, but I'm gonna have you put more stops in between.
Okay.
When you come to that stop, do remember to slow down first. And then if he doesn't sit on his own, you would then immediately kick him with a little bit of pressure and tap to get him to sit, okay? Now, if he flips and has a moment of like, oh my God, you would add more tension to get control of him. Okay, so during the pack walk when he was throwing that spiel, I had it closer to the collar or where it was looped so that I could get immediate pressure on him. Otherwise, if there's too much slack, you're up here, then he's jumping and he's scratching and he's all in business, okay? So how you have it is good, and whenever you're ready, you can start moving, and then just more frequent stops.
If he starts freaking out when we're trying to get him to sit, shouldn't I keep moving?
No, you would stay, because there you're trying to get to sit, right?
Got it.
He's freaking out because he doesn't know what to do.
Understood.
Right?
Okay.
So he actually did this when so he had this first freak out, and then we walked down to the curb and we stopped at the street, right?
Yes.
And then I tried to get him to put his butt down, and he flipped out again.
Yeah.
It was because of that. Okay? But I was at a much higher number than you are right now. Okay? Whenever you're ready. Good turn. And relax. And come to a stop when you're ready. Okay. Now lightly pull up. There. Yeah. There. And relax. Good. So when you're doing that tension, you don't want to pop it or bob it. Once you apply it and you feel there's connection, you would keep it static. Okay.
Sorry, can you say that again?
So you would pull up, right? So you wouldn't do this.
Okay.
And you would pull up.
Okay, and hold it.
Now you're tapping, and as soon as he sits, you let this go.
Got it.
Okay? Because what happens is you're teaching him pressure on, because because I need you to do something.
Yeah.
And pressure off once you comply.
Okay.
Okay. So the e-collar is the momentary pressure that's saying put your butt down.
Yeah.
Your leash pressure is telling him to put his butt down.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
It's the guide to
That's
shut
the
off the
command
discomfort.
that he knows. Okay.
Correct. Okay.
Got it.
Go ahead. Stop when you're ready. Yeah. Right, relax. Good. Now here, right, what you're gonna do is keep a little bit of pressure up. Tap, tap, tap. Relax. Good. I'm not gonna care about position. Okay? I just care that you put his butt down. Oh yeah, 2 off.
Is it really? Oh, well, that's started, right?
Because last week is the same as this.
You're gonna lay down, right? Whenever you're gonna apply this leash pressure, I don't want you to jerk. Okay? It's always gonna be slowly but surely.
Okay.
Okay? Because once you start, then you're gonna be jerking your dog all over.
Got it.
The remote does all the work for you. There's no need to be overly physical unless absolutely necessary, because you're trying to condition everything to the remote. The more you use the leash, the more it becomes a part of what he needs to do something. Okay? So we're using it subtly because we're going to very quickly wean it away, and everything's going to be capitalized. Okay? Because ultimately, if he gets off leash, the only line of communication is going to be that remote. The other reason is because we're humans, we tend to want to physically restrain things, right? That should something happen, your first instinct is going to be to go to the leash when it should be to go to the remote. Okay, and I've seen this happen time and time again with clients. They get rope burn and what have you because they dive for the leash, and I'm like, why don't you just go for the remote? They're like, oh yeah, sure. Okay, so we're going to try that a few times.
Okay.
I'm going to move over slow. Whenever you're ready.
I was going uphill and started biking, and my legs went numb. And I was like, in the middle of the street, I just like stopped, and I was like, we both have to this way. It's so hard.
Relax your left arm. I'm going to stop when you're ready. Yep. Good. Relax. He melts. Keep a little bit of upward tension. Yep. Yep. Yep.
She has too much
Yep.
money right now.
Relax. Just like that. So what he's doing is he's shutting down. And he's going, life is hard right now. Okay? And I get it. If you allow that to happen, you're allowing him to reinforce that down process. Okay? Because he's shutting down because of environment and pressure. So in order for him to come out of that shell, you technically have to use what he's trying to seek or escape from to get him to pop out of it. Exactly. Right? So I relate myself to like a physical, a personal trainer, but for dogs.
Okay.
So like years ago when I was in better shape and I had a personal trainer, he would push me. Like I'd be like, I'm tired. He's like, no, you're gonna do 4 more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would do it. And I would feel so good about it. It's the same thing here.
Okay.
Right? But you can't verbally coax him to do it. You can't motivate him using food. You have to use the negative pressure. So then he goes, oh, this actually isn't so bad. And I can actually take this, tolerate it, and accept it. And then you start to see a more confident dog in a healthy way. Okay? So anytime you see him trying to shut down, if his job was to put his butt down, you have to hold him to that. There's no exception to this position. Okay? If he's on his own time and he decides to lay down, that's a totally different story. Okay? We're going to do a few more. stop when you're ready. Right, keep it. There you go. And relax. Good. Forward.
White shoes because Grove was not a good choice.
No, and all of my all of and what's that? I guarantee you he's not.
I didn't have there. Is that okay?
He was running with you. Slow little stop. Okay, I'm not going to care about him overdoing this, but what you are going to do is when you move forward right now, I'm going to have you move forward with your right leg. Okay?
Go right into it.
Yes, and with power. Okay, don't worry about hurting him or anything like that, because you want him to think, if I sit in front of mom like this, it's a knee to the face. Okay? If you move forward with your left leg, it would push him out to your right side,
Got it.
which would make things difficult, right? So moving forward, right leg pushes him to your left and corrects the problem, right? When you're ready, bump, there you go. Perfect. Relax your left arm, good.
When's the last time you were out? How long were you?
Good turn. Relax, you got it. Slow little stop. There you go, right there. Okay. I'm gonna have you do a batch of 5, just back to stops, right? When you come to a stop, because I saw that was very quick. These may be already getting the pattern, is we're gonna delay just a moment to see if he'll put that butt down himself. Okay, if he doesn't, we're gonna reverse things now, is I'm gonna have you actually tap first. Yeah, 2 to 3 times. And if he sits down, perfect. If he doesn't, as you're tapping, you would then apply the leash pressure.
Should I keep having him sit here? Does that matter? That
Oh,
he's
like spot wise?
Okay.
Good turn. You got it. You got it. Good job. Good job. Like that. That's fine. Because he did it on his own, correct? Yep. Right. So this one would be another right leg. 4 more. Relax the left arm. Good. We're gonna make one more alteration. Go ahead and give a little bit more slack on that left hand. Okay. If you need to shorten it, I'm gonna have you can pick it up, right? But your old habit's coming through. You're going like this, okay? So, and it happens because it's already so short that your brain is just going like this, and that's gonna start countering you, okay? And I'll talk about why this all matters at the end, but that at least prevents you, even if you do this, there's slack that it's not gonna register, okay? 3 more.
Except for everything.
You got it. Good job. Yep. Plow forward. You got it. Good. Perfect. That's fine. Yep. Bump. Yep. Bump. Good. Good. Good job. Yep. Okay, last one. Bump. There you go. Good. Relax. Good. So, if you put the butt down, we don't need to. So the purpose of not saying anything is to create default response. Okay? So if we were saying heel, and then when you would stop, you would say sit, then it's heel, sit, all day. Okay? And I just want to say one word, and the dog will do a bunch of things automatically. Okay? So if you push that butt down, you don't do anything. I'm not going to care about positioning right now. I don't need perfect positioning because this is family pet stuff, but I don't want him here. So that's him just be getting in the way of it. Okay? So this week, should that happen, you do what you did today and just plow through with that right foot, okay? And when I move through, I move through with get the fuck up there. Okay? So your power was good. If you feel like it's not getting better, you need more power. Okay? Because for him, like you might feel like Jesse Humphreys is juice behind that knee, right? But dogs fight each other, right? So your knee to the face is not going to match the dog's power. So that's what you're trying to get across, okay? When you do your turns and before when you're curving out, you're doing really good about just keeping it straight. I know it's annoying, especially when the dog's got the muzzle against your left knee. When he doesn't have the muzzle on and you're walking with him, try to see the difference. And if you're like, oh yeah, he's way better without the muzzle, then the muzzle is the issue. It's not something that you need to worry about training for. Okay? Because once you remove that muzzle, problem solved. Okay? When it comes to this kind of secondary hold that we showed earlier, right, that I had to transition to, it was more so that you're already ready to get him to do the sits. Both are acceptable. It just depends on what's going on. So if you have a very clear path, I like to do the slack loop with no hand here. Because if he's walking right beside you, he's just going to be slack. He's obeying, he's listening to you, he's following, right? If you have the leash short and he's trying to forge and he's only there because you're limiting range, then he's only there because you're forcing him. Okay? This is mental game. So if you have a nice clear area and you're not worried about anything, you use that approach, right? If it's, oh man, I'm walking through an area that's very busy and highly populated by people walking with their dogs, I go to the other approach. Okay, so now if you're giving a bit of slack, but you're not taking it too short where that old habit is kicking in, so that should there be a moment, you're limiting range of motion that he's not going to get through. Okay? If you come across a dog or a contact where you feel like, I think Gilmore's going to be reactive, you want to step aside. It's easiest to control reactivity from a stationary position. Okay?
So that looks like when the two off-leash dogs just happen, that's why you advise them.
Correct. Come over here, right? So like, let's say this was a standard, that was a street, this is the sidewalk, this is the grass, right? If I see the dog coming, I step aside about here, we face what's going to happen, up tap it to the sit, short my leash. Now I watch Gilmore. Okay, because now you can see his eyes, his ears, his face, his hackles, his tail, his body, his posture. You can see everything here. And I can use my peripherals to see what's going on here. Okay? So sometimes people see you step aside and they're like, oh, you're stepping aside from my dog. It's like, how? Right? So like that lady, right? And right away I saw it, I was like, nope, not here. Right? And she and walked away. So don't be afraid to speak up. That's one thing. Okay? So if I see someone with that mentality, right away, as soon as you see it, say, oh, we're training. If you don't want to be jerky. Okay? Oh, we're training. We're not ready for that. Most, like 99% of the time, people will go, oh, okay. And then you can say, like, could you please shorten your leash? Just walk past. And people are more than likely happy to oblige. Okay? If they're doing well with taking their dog and they see that you stepped aside, like, oh, she must be training, people will naturally just take shorten their leash and just walk, right? So that allows you to not worry about them and just focus on Gilmore. Because he's your responsibility. You shouldn't have to control your environment, but at some point you may have to. Okay? So by doing this, if there were to be a blow up, it's much easier because you're stationary, you've already shortened your leash, and you don't have to worry about are we going to cross paths because you've already given some space. Once they pass, you're able to move forward. Okay? The other reason for this is you're trying to get them used to seeing dogs and not blowing up.
So I was just going to say, I've read some who are just like, just turn around and ignore. Not at all. I want you to be exposed to.
Yeah, because life's not going to let you turn around. Now, let's say you're approaching a situation and you go, man, this looks kind of dicey. Turn around. Right? But you may not always have that available to you. So what we're trying to build to is like, let's say you turn around the corner and there's a dog, and he will blow up. So by doing this, you're making it very easy for you to regain control, and it's practice. So that one day when you inevitably turn into another dog, you're going to go straight into short my leash, tap, maneuver mode, as opposed to, yeah, exactly, what do I do, okay? Because I had another lady, same thing, very reactive dog, and it was like, well, why would I do this? I'm like, because you're prepping yourself for the day, you're conditioning behavior for yourself, exactly, right? So, like military guys, you know, they don't just give them a gun and throw them in the war. It's thousands of hours of you're shooting and being shot at type stuff. So prep before when we send you to war, when they're shooting at you, you're still able to operate. It's the same thing here, right? You're building these habits of I shorten my leash, I watch, you know, this and that, so that when you turn the corner, it's holy crap, I'm planning for this. You're already going into that mode. Okay, so like that's like built into. As soon as I see a dog become aggressive, like when he was being reactive, I grabbed the leash, shortened it up, kept moving, boom, did my thing, and then we were off, right? So you need to develop those habits. The goal is you're able to one day turn around the corner, see a dog, and maybe he's like, and you tap him, and he settles, and you just keep going, right? That's the end goal. But you have to go through the work first in order to get to that point. Question so far.
That doesn't bring to mind though. There's like a neighbor dog whoever he has this on him now. It's avoidance behavior. So because he knows that he'll get this and ask for it, he'll try and pull me.
Sure.
Is there, I mean, the concern that whenever this is on, he just doesn't know?
In the beginning, yes, because we're creating avoidance behavior. So whenever we see aggressive or aggression type behaviors, we want to avoid it. Okay? Avoidance behaviors are what's going to keep them in check. Okay? So
it is a good
yes. Now it's a good thing because that it stops reactivity, but it's a bad thing when you're trying to socialize. And then he's like, I don't want anything to do with dogs, right? So then there's a process with that. But like right now when that dog walked past, he just learned it's not the dog. It's when I blow up. Does that make sense? So when you go through all these contexts and dogs are passing, that's actually allowing him to process like, oh, like one, I don't have to blow up with dogs. Two, nothing happens if I don't blow up with dogs. So it has nothing to do with them. It must be something else. So then maybe you see 100 dogs and perfect, and then on the 101st dog, he goes up and you remote him. He shuts up. Oh. Exactly. Right? That's the whole purpose of repeating and exposing. That's how dogs process. Okay, they need repetition, and in order for them to decipher what was correct and incorrect, they have to make mistakes. You have to do these things, and yes, there's going to be moments of confusion when you think it's the dog, it's me, but that's what repetition is for. Okay. So whenever you see a context that maybe you typically avoid, as long as you feel like I think I can handle this, my suggestion is you address it, you confront it. Okay. Because then, even if things went south, you put yourself in a situation which already puts you a step ahead, right? So that when things come out of the blue, you're like, I've done this 100 times. Here I go. Okay. Questions?
So, the muzzle, would you recommend, at least right now, always having a muzzle with the collar whenever we're training?
How does it make you feel?
I just don't know how yes. To answer myself, yes. Because I don't know how that's going.
Don't care about him in the sense of, oh, does he feel happy with the muzzle on?
Right.
Not about that. Okay, because if he wasn't misbehaving, he wouldn't be in here.
Right.
It's like having this training session and stuff, right?
Right.
So you pay for the food, you pay for the vet bills, you pay for the training, you pay for the collar, leash, and all that stuff. You're more than welcome to muzzle him up if you feel it's necessary. Okay? The muzzle, there is no law that says you have to get past the muzzle at some point. Okay? Some of my clients, they'll bring the dog into like a situation like maybe with the friend's dogs, and the dog's muzzled first, and then after 15 minutes, once they've settled down, they'll remove it. That's their system. I get other clients that are like, Jesse, I know the dog's been great, and we've gone 100 times without seeing negative interactions, but it makes us feel better. No longer. Yeah, leave it on, right? At the end of the day, it's what it makes you feel more comfortable, more confident. Maybe you get rid of it in 2 weeks. Maybe you get rid of it in 2 months. Maybe you get rid of it in 2 years. there's no fault to it. I even have people that muzzle train their dog and they've never seen illegal aggression, but they still muzzle them and go to the vet. They're like, just in case, because I don't know. That's perfectly fine. Okay, it's just it's a precautionary measure that just prevents something bad from happening. Okay. Other questions?
No. I mean, I'm very surprised by how well this one company.
Yeah, this is pretty standard stuff. Okay. He's progressing much faster than I anticipated, especially considering I haven't seen you since the pack walk.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Out of this program, because you're doing the 6, right?
Correct.
So you got the 6 plus the 2 Zooms. What are you trying to achieve within the 6 classes?
I would just like to. So my initial thing was I don't have. I'm not overly stressed at the moment. It's summer, and I know like when work actually picks up again. I just want to be able to take one walk and not be stressed at the home. Because that's what it's.
Sure.
It's like me constantly being alert when I'm going to go out.
Sure. So, over the course of this week, I think you're going to find your confidence. Because what you need are successes. Okay? And let's say he does have a moment, which he may have. Nothing bad. When you stop it and you see how quickly you're able to stop it, your confidence is going to go up. Okay? So like the lady we saw earlier, her dog was super reactive when she came here. And it was very stressful. And we didn't see her for 2 weeks. We saw her today, something 180, right? And then she was much more relaxed. She still had the edge, she still had a little bit of the anxiety. But since she had so many successes, she was much more comfortable, confident, like, I got this. Okay?
And that translates. They pick up on it.
Correct. Because this is a relationship,
Yeah.
right? So just like, if you had a friend or a relative or something and you show up and just something's bothering you, like, are you okay? Because your energy, the way maybe you're taking, maybe you're pacing, maybe you're like really rubbing your head a lot, right? You're doing a lot of things that are communicating, I'm stressed.
Yeah.
He picks up on that. This, pulling the leash back, right? Tucking back, right? All that stuff is like the wide eyes with there's a dog around the corner, Those are all signs. Dogs are masters at reading body language. Okay? So as you start to get more confident and more relaxed, he's like, oh, mom's got it. Like I don't need to be reactive. Mom will take care of it. Which brings up a point of if you don't handle it, he will. Okay? So when that lady came up and I just stepped in, I didn't, how do you say, think twice about it? I saw her going around and I was like, all right, as soon as I saw her approaching us, no. Right? He sees that. He may not know what you're saying, but it's like if you go to a country where you don't speak the language, right? And you see an altercation, and then you see what looks like officers come and separate the people and maybe arrest them and take them away, you can deduce that there was some kind of verbal argument that became a fight, then authorities came and took them away and probably went to jail, right? Despite the fact that you don't know what the hell they said. Same thing here, right? So he just goes, oh, dog came, mom said something, dog went by. So like you were reactive instead of him being reactive, you know what I mean? So dog, it's a balance of both things, okay? I think there's an unrealistic expectation that your dog must like and love everyone and everything. That's not true, okay? I don't like everyone and everything, I'm sure not everyone that does these or meets me likes me, loves me, right? So as long as he's minding his business, like this is perfect, okay? Let's say a dog walks by and he licks his lips, which is like, I'm stressed. It's okay, he's communicating to you how close that dog was or that dog's energy. It didn't make me feel good, right? But he didn't do anything bad, right? So then through exposure, he might find there's no need to be reactive because mom's in charge and it's not acceptable, okay? So it's a balance of a lot of things. It's not just teach the dog, make him be a good dog and tolerate life. It's like having a kid. At some point, if you're part of being bullied, adults have to step in. It's the same thing for these guys. Okay? Other questions?
No. So when I do take them on walks, would you recommend like in the beginning kind of doing this exercise or at the end?
So what you would do is, very good question. Now your walks are training walks, but you're not going back and forth. Okay? You're going on an actual walk.
Right.
The only time you would turn and tap is when Gilmore gets ahead of you. So let's say you walk 6 blocks, and he's just spot on, right? And then you come across a block with a lot of distractions, and then he forges ahead. Tap, tap, turn, right? If he's going that way, then you simply turn again, and now you're going back in the direction you need to. Okay. Whenever you come to a stop sign or a stoplight, wherever you're going to be stationary, come to a stop. If he doesn't put that butt down, lightly pull up, tap, boom, and it's just wait. So like this whole time, it's been like 5-10 minutes now, and he's been sitting in that position the entire time. That's what's supposed to happen. So the tap is what initiates this command. Okay, so you're not saying the word heel. So you're gonna come out, potty break. Once he's done, then you start walking, tap, boom. Now it's home. Okay, so at that point forward, until you release him, Gilmore's job is to stay at your side, and if he passes, it's your job to turn and correct him. Okay. If you come to a spot and you want to give him another break or a potty break, you would walk up to it. So let's say the curb here, you would come to a stop. He should sit. You wait a moment. Gilmore break, and then you bring him to the ground. So break means your job is done. Okay, so we're using the release word, we're just not using the heel word. Okay, at that moment, if he roll around, smoke a cigarette, all that stuff, I don't care. He's on his own time. Once you're ready, you start walking, tap, boom, and now it's on again. Okay. My basic structure is 80% work and 20% play. So it's an hour-long walk, approximately 45 minutes is structured walk, and 15 minutes is play. So you can do 5 minutes at the beginning, walk, 5 minutes in the middle, walk, 5 minutes at the end. You can do structured walk, 15-minute break, structured walk home. Right? You can break it up however you want, but that's the general structure. Your dog becomes what you allow them to practice. So if you practice a lot of like freedom and do whatever you want, fun, your dog becomes like a party, right? If you practice discipline with reward, you get a well-structured, disciplined dog, okay, which ends up being a more passive, calmer dog, right? I know people want the best for the dogs, want to give them a happy life and all that stuff. Dogs thrive structure, just like humans. Like laws and all that stuff is structure. Are you a teacher? Right? Sure, you know all about structure, right? Yeah. It helps the kids learn. Because if there was no rules, they would jibber jabber and throw paper airplanes and talk to each other and draw on the walls and stuff. You would not be able to teach. So those rules of you can't talk to your friends, you can't just get up and go to the bathroom, you can't do this, you can't just train yourself and all that stuff, allows them to just sit down and take in the information that you're giving them. Same thing for this guy. Okay? There's no such thing as too much discipline. Okay? I'm going to have you limit the remote to what we've covered, okay, what you're familiar with. Dogs learn best in smaller chunks, so if you do like 3 20-minute walks, that would be ideal. If all you have is a solid hour, you can do a solid hour. He's not going to get overly stressed because walking does alleviate stress, so it balances everything out. And you're doing really well here. So let's say when you go home and you start practicing and you're doing your correctional turns, if every day you're doing 100 correctional turns, that tells me you're too low, right? Okay. It should be progressively less and less. Okay. So then like let's say you're at 12, but every day you turn 100 times, then you bump it to like 20. Now 100 times becomes 50 times, but now it's still 50 times, 25, right? It gets less and less, and eventually you're gonna find a range or number where you're like, man, I haven't turned like in 20 walks. Yeah. That's getting you the most problems. Okay. If you go into a new environment and you find he's not listening, it's most likely again that you're too low. I go in jumps about 3 to 5 with a guy like him because he does seem pretty sensitive to it. And don't ever feel like you're in a rush. Okay, so if you spend 15 minutes to get to the appropriate number in the new setting, that's perfectly fine. But now you know 22 at this position, at least for now. Yeah. So the next time you go there, you're already kind of in that range. Okay.
And I should be basing it off of his response. So when we initially got here, you were looking for this head tilt.
Correct.
Am I looking for the head tilt or?
So what I was looking for, the head tilt, yeah, dog. Good, and turn around this way. Good. So you always want to be eyes on that, right? Just like he is. Because then this way, if you're faced that way and the dog came up this way, you wouldn't have known that. The contraction or the head tilt tells you have connection. What I was looking for is a bigger response, like where he like kind of, like you'll see this, and maybe like staring over there, and like it's not phasing him, and eventually you keep increasing it, and then it becomes like this. There's a bigger reaction. And in that video, that one that you were watching, I suggest finishing it because you'll see in the video the dog give a bigger response. Okay. Other questions? So your homework for this week is just this, okay? If you're feeling more confident, you know, and like you avoid certain areas, you want to see how he's doing, and you make great progress. My suggestion is those areas, because we won't know. You're my report card, right? You're like, okay, Jesse, this is how it was. Everything was great until we hit this thing, and I go, okay, what happened? And then you'll tell me, and I'll go, okay, we're gonna make a couple tweaks, and then here's your exercise for today. Here's your homework. Tell me how it goes. Right? So if everything's just making progress, we just keep going forward. Okay? Anything else? Yeah, you're welcome. If you need anything else, you let us know. Shoot me an email if you have any questions. And if you ever see anything like you're struggling with, video is always great. Like some of my clients will like take a video and they're like, hey, because they'll try to recreate it here, and a lot of times they won't get it. So if I see it, I can see if you're maybe doing something incorrectly, or if there's something with the dog or not. Okay? Awesome. You're welcome.